San Francisco becoming busier. What up, internet world? It's your boy Jermaine back with another video. I haven't did a sit down video and just talk about the city in a minute. So let's do that. Let's just sit down and talk about a couple things. This video, I want to just kind of talk about the winter and then to also remind people of reasons why you should come here because I think that it's still a really great place to come. Things have changed, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't come. You should come and see how things are now. And I'm sure 5 years, 10 years from now, things will be different, just like things were different 5 years ago. So it's just seeing the city at a different time, at a different state, I think is really, really important. So, first off, let's just start with December. December was nuts, right? December was cold, it was rainy. And I think the part that really got me really down about December was how like depressing the city was. You have a lot of people that like go out of town. You have the days are really really short, right? Because around the 21st of December, that's like the shortest day of the year. So if you go outside and it's like the day is like so short and it's slow, it's cold, it's rainy, it's like all the above. It's like a place I don't really want to be in. I remember January rolled around and things start to get a lot better in January, like a whole lot better. I was talking to a friend and I haven't seen this dude in like a couple weeks. So I didn't know if he just got a new job and quit or if he went out of town or something. And come to find out, he like went out of town and he was telling me, he said every December I try to leave town because it's really, really dead around in the city in December. And I was thinking to myself, next December I may purposely like leave for the whole month of December just to avoid that because December was pretty brutal around here. Like it was just, short days. I don't know, just not that much action going on, like raining, cold, windy. And don't get me wrong, this month right now, it's February, it's still raining, it's still windy, it's still cold. It's actually colder now than it was in January. I mean, in January, I was still running around with shorts on every day. And now I mean, gosh, it's literally in the 40s. Like January, it was in the 50s. So definitely we've watched the temperature, like, change up a little bit. And then come January, things start to pick up. I definitely noticed more conferences in town. I want to say it was like a few conferences in December, but it wasn't any like big conferences. It was a couple big conferences in January, and I remember a couple days I like went out on the bike and I was just cruising around, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people here. Like, what is going on? Like, and then come to find out, like, it's an event, it's something going on. You're probably gonna make more money this week because you got all these people from out of town, and then February rolls around, and I was, after going through January and just thinking, oh, the city's like dead. It's not a lot of traffic, because in December you definitely see a little bit of traffic near the malls because you have tourists come in from outside the city and they want to go shop downtown and stuff like that. They want to go see the Christmas trees and, go to Christmas parties and things like that. But then you notice in January, like all the traffic like goes away and it's like, dang, there's no more traffic. Now, when we had a couple of those events in January, the traffic was it was definitely a little bit of traffic downtown, but then it kind of went away. But now in February, I'm actually starting to see like more traffic. I'm actually starting to see a lot more foot traffic. I'm starting to see a lot more tourists, like just a lot of like camera tourists. Because in the city, we have different types of tourists. We have tourists that go and stay in Fisherman's Wharf, right? And they go and they do the touristy things. They go to the restaurants, they go to Lombard Street. But then we also have a different type of tourist. We have a business traveler that's a tourist, right? And a business traveler that's a tourist. This is someone who is probably coming to the city because they want to come to a conference, right? Or they want to come to the city because they do want to do something business oriented. These are people that are typically going to be dressed up more in the city, and they're probably going to be more in the downtown area. And, your Fisherman's Wharf tourists, they're probably not going to be dressed up. They're probably going to be in the tourist areas. They're probably going to be having a good time. But there's like a difference between the two. Like your Fisherman's Wharf tours, they're more price sensitive, but then your whole like business tours is like not so price sensitive. So on days on certain weeks where we have conferences, because this is just something I noticed in January. Like I know this is kind of random for this video, but people tell me I should like sit down and make videos where I talk. So here you have it. But I noticed in January, it was like the first 2 weeks of January, I would go through Union Square and Fisherman's Wharf and see a lot of tourists, right? A lot of people like out, getting on the buses and taking photos and going to restaurants and stuff. And then I remember the third week in January that I think it was like a JP Morgan Chase had like a conference downtown. And I remember how downtown was so busy with people with suits on. But then I remember going to Fisherman's Wharf and I was like, wow, it's like dead here. There's like no tourists. And then I sit around and I start to think and I start to put two and two together. I said to myself, wait, last week there was no big conference going on in the city. And last week I saw lots of like camera tourists, right? Lots of people with suitcases and families, right? They're like taking over the city last week. And this week, it's all the Chase people here, right, with suits on. And then I started to like investigate a little deeper. I started to look at hotel prices and I was thinking, if there's no tourists in Fisherman's Wharf, I wonder why there are so many tourists like downtown. And then I looked at hotel prices, right? So it was a couple of different hotels I was looking in, and I was looking at for that particular week because that was the week that the Chase people were there. Hotel prices was literally double the price as it was the week before when there was no like big conference, no no tech. Well, these people weren't tech people. These were like corporate like banking type people who you work for a bank, like you're kind of like a tech worker, like you got all the money in the world, right? And I just thought it was so interesting how like it was so cheap to go the first 2 weeks in January, but then come that tech conference, like all the hotels in the city were like expensive, like, and I didn't see that many tourists. Like I don't know, it's just something really random. Um, I do want to like tell stories and talk about what's been going on in the city, and I definitely noticed that. But this week it's a little bit different, or the past 3 weeks, because we're almost done with the month of February, and I noticed that there's like a lot of like just a lot of like tourists, right? A lot of Fisherman Wharf type tourists, and I know for sure that there's gonna be more conferences in March and April, so I have to see like on those weeks, like is it just like all business tourists, or is it like all like Fisherman's Wharf shopper type tourists? Because I don't know, it's just really really random for me to throw that in this video, but I just noticed how like there are different groups of people and they spend money differently, right? You have some folks, the business travelers, they'll pay $800 a month, $800 a night for a hotel room because their company's paying for it, or maybe it's a tax write-off for them. But then you also have tourists, and they're just like, no, we ain't paying 800. We'll pay like 200, because tourists are just more price sensitive. What else is going on in the city? Sorry, I just like banged the microphone. The weather. Oh my gosh. We've been having so much rain in the forecast. Like rain is good, but I'm just wondering like when will the rain be over? I'm not complaining because I know we need the rain and rain is it's amazing to watch, but some days I'm like, why is it raining right now? Why can't it just be just a chill day or crazy windy day in the wind? The wind has greatly start to pick up. I must point this out. I must say this because this past week, because I'm filming this on a Sunday, this past week, oh my gosh, we had some insane windy days. It was one day where I believe it hit like 30-mile-per-hour winds. And when it's 30-mile-per-hour winds, it's hard to do a lot of things. It's hard to walk outside. It's hard to ride a bike. It's hard to deliver coffee without the bag swinging because you're riding your bike up a hill and then you got the wind blowing because you're riding your bike up a hill and then the bag's swinging and you need to keep the bag upright. And yeah, you guys get where I'm going. It can be a disaster. It can be a nightmare. But anyway, that was There was the past couple of weeks in SF, and it seems like things are picking up. Springtime is approaching, and springtime is a more busier time to be in the city. A lot more folks have time off. School is out. People usually take vacations in the springtime, summertime, not so much in the winter, like I've been surviving through. And yeah, if you're a tourist and you still want to come to the city, I recommend it. I think the city is great. I think there is still a lot of cool places to go. If you are looking to move to the city and looking for a job, um, it may not be as good as if you would have did this like 5 years ago. There's definitely still opportunities here. I still meet people who tell me, "Hey, I just moved here recently." There's definitely still people moving in, but there's also more people moving away. More and more people say things like, "Oh, I'm thinking about moving," or "I'm moving," or "Maybe I'm gonna go to LA for 6 months and maybe come back after 6 months, or maybe come back after a year." You know, Whenever I look around and I look at other parts of the country, at least if you want to go to a place to move, to live and work, I see a lot of opportunities in other parts of the US. Now, when it comes to tech, if you want to be like in the whole, tech mecca, this will probably still be a place you want to be in. But if you are someone who just, like the city life and you want to, live in a place where you can like walk and ride a bike and you don't need a car and stuff like that. Because I know a lot of people that's one of their biggest reasons why they still live in the city. They like the city. They're not tech workers, and, they just like living in the city, and they like just the city life. And the city life definitely offers a lot of things that you just can't get living in the suburbs. And don't get me wrong, the suburbs definitely have a lot of things that the city cannot offer. But on the flip side, I don't live in the suburbs. I live in the city. And I think a lot of people that follow my content are like people that live in the city, or people that like the city, or people that are interested in city life, city living. But for now, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up. Just wanted to talk about the city for a minute. Yeah. Because I've been in the DMs and I get a lot of DM requests and people wanting to know, like, stuff about this neighborhood, that neighborhood, best times of the year. And after going through the DMs and talking to a handful of other people about the city, I thought, yo, let's just make another video, just sitting down talking about it for a quick minute on a Sunday, because it's raining and there's some more rain in the forecast. But for now, I'm going to wrap this video up. Like, comment, subscribe. If you guys like this video, let me know down in the comments, but down below, let me know something. If you watch to the end of this video, put 23 down in the comments, and that way I'll know you watched to the end. But for now, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and peace out, everyone. Have a good one.